Doing? I'm actually going on live, I think, for the first time in a very, very long time. Um, I don't even know if people are going to like this, so I'm just trying it out for now. But basically, I'll be redoing um, I'm revarnishing an old camera. It's a Century number 7, which is probably made between, I want to say 1912 to 1917. So it's over 100 years old. The varnish is cracked and it's very, very rough compared to the shellac finish I'm going to give it. Um, but the good thing about the lacquer is it's protected it all these years, and it's a very, very nice. Um, it's a very, very nice thing to have. Um, and eventually, what I'm probably going to end up doing is I'm going to remove all the shellac on my old cameras and put a tongue oil finish and then shellac over it later. But for the time being, I just want this thing to look beautiful, and I'm trying to make these older cameras to look pretty beautiful. So that's what I'll be attempting today. Now, two things that I use for protection when I'm using acetone, because I need acetone in order to remove nitrocellulose based lacquer. Butyl gloves, not latex, not PVC. I can't use vinyl either, regular vinyl, not PVC vinyl, but it's either these or Silver Shield, and I don't like the crinkling of the Silver Shield. It'd probably be okay for something like this, but this is better for like finite work with my hands. And also the organic vapor cartridges um, with a mask. This is absolutely imperative for something like acids, strong bases that are vaporized. Always check with the manufacturer what you're specifically use it for, so you can know what protections you need and whether or not you need fresh air and not filtered air. Because fresh air, uh, I don't have any fresh air stuff, so I got to really take precautions with certain chemicals. But uh, here we go. I'm going to demonstrate what I do to remove varnish and then apply lacquer. What's going on, Mac Man? So I'm going to apply some, remove the old lacquer and put new lacquer on, or new varnish, um, shellac varnish on instead of lacquer from this 100-year-old camera. And here we go. Here goes nothing. All right. Like I explained, organic vapor cartridges on a mask when I'm using acetone. It's nasty stuff, not for kids. Now, these are butyl gloves, not vinyl gloves. It's very important for acetone because it can get in your skin and you can, be affected by the toxicity. So, butyl gloves, organic vapor cartridges. The other thing is, I wanted to show you the difference between a shellac finish and a lacquer finish. On the top here, I redid the shellac finish, and it's very smooth. It's not very rough. It's easily rubbed off by, uh, sandpaper or whatever. This, I cannot rub it off with my thumb very easily. It's very hard, and that's how you can tell. Oh, shoot. Hey, what's up, Rob? How you doing, cuz? Yeah, I'm redoing the finish on this 100-year-old camera. I selected on top, and I'm going to do the same thing here. I got my gloves and cartridge. There goes nothing. Too much. Yeah. Mm. All right. You can see that really nitrocellular. Here you can see how dirty it is and nasty it is. It's going to come back and it's going to look really good. Ugh. Mhm. 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 Okay. Okay, we're good. I need to get a light. I'll be right back. All right. Where'd I put it? Whew. All right, all right. There. Oh, there it is. There's one. I have so many lights around here. It's not even funny, but I can't find one when I need it. There. Here we go. Now I'm checking for the sheen. Up here it's really dull, which is good. It's a good sign that a lot of the lacquers come out. Bottom here is a little bit shiny still. A little bit of lacquer on the surface. That dull color starting to come back. It's a lot lighter than it was. Some of that's due to the darkness is from the aging wood and the tannins in the wood. The tannins in the wood make wood dark and have that beautiful, uh, lovely smell. And you could smell you could smell that in books. You know that old book smell. That's all the tannins breaking down in the wood and pulp. What am I making? I'm not making anything. I'm actually refinishing a old 100-year-old camera made between 1912 and 1917. It's a Century camera number 7. There's no labels on it, but I was able to narrow down the model number based on the features it has, the features it doesn't have, and also there are a couple little features that you have to really pay attention to. Uh, Kodak started making their own with a label on the front here. You can see 3 little holes. Now, the 3 little holes were for like a very circular tag. Later on, Kodak made them with a piece of copper or bronze, not brass, but it's like more of a copper. and it was rectangular in shape and went across uh, the face here in the front. Now these three holes used to have a circle, and that was a tag number. The tag number was number 7, and I know that because of again the research I did on um, these types of cameras. Now it took me a lot longer to figure out how long or when this thing was made. Um, I narrowed it down to 1912 to 1917. But it took me a little bit of research because some of the records, especially for this serial number in the 70,000s, and I think it's 70,000 is not of this particular model, but every single camera that Century made. But then again, I don't know when they started with their numbering for serial numbers, but the 70,000 range, they don't have any date for particularly. So I don't know within those 5 years what this camera, when this camera was actually made, because the dates were crossed out of the 2 pages that have the numbers on it. So between page 142 and 144, I believe, something like that. Anyways, from the catalog. And the other thing is during the years up until 1922, from about to 1903 when Kodak acquired Century camera, there are different divisions. Like there was a Fulmer and Swing division that was making parts and these cameras. And there was a different division that was owned by Kodak that was making these cameras. So it kind of went back and forth. So the records are scattered. Uh, so that's not too easy either. But to find, then that's why the information's scattered and why it's not too easy to find information on these cameras. But I did narrow it down to 1912 to 1917, which is makes it over 100 years old. It's truly an antique, and I'm gonna get it back in working condition again. Let's see. I need Q-tips to get in this little edge right here. I'll show you what that is. So there's like a little edge here that collected all the lacquer, and you can see that kind of pulled in there and built up. So I got to clean that next. I got to clean the lacquer out, and I got to use acetone for this because again, it's nitrocellulose based lacquer and not shellac, unfortunately. Now I do have a camera and several cameras from the time that were shellac finished. The good thing about the harder finish like this, though, is it lasts longer if you ding it accidentally. If it chips, who cares, right? Well, shellac's a lot softer of a finish and may not protect it as well. It dings up very easily, and if you got a ding underneath the wood, you got to fill it back in with like UV epoxy or some kind of epoxy, and then put the shellac over it after sanding it flat, and then um, refinish it, with like the shellac, and then let it dry, and then sand it one more time, and then polish it with wax, and that'll get a really nice shine. I really love the shellac finish, and I was even thinking about. I mentioned at the very beginning of this, but taking all the cameras that I have and putting tung oil on it takes about 2 weeks to cure each time. It's very slow, but getting that base coat and then put shellac on afterwards. If I build the shellac on afterwards, it'll be really nice. Uh, and it'll have like that hard surface underneath, but it'll have that soft shellac on the outside, and it'll be high gloss on the outside, and it'll look absolutely beautiful. And as well as I do, if you do, that the tung oil will harden very really over time, and it has a really nice hard finish. And then the shellac, of course, can be taken off with alcohol, and the tung oil, once it sets, will not uh, will not be removed by alcohol alone, and then you can redo the shellac as many times as you want. But I've mentioned it before on the video that I posted today that because this wood is so dark and it's not going to absorb all the nitrocellulose based lacquer, It won't. I'm not doing that. The. I'm not soaking the napkins on top of it and laying it on top, and giving it 5 or 10 minutes to absorb all every little bit of the lacquer, because I like the aged look of it, and actually that lacquer will protect the wood, and so I'm not removing it completely. I get in about 95, 97% of it by just wiping it down. Um, but the acetone will not remove all of it. Plus, it's got that really nice red color, which I like. And because I have the red color still um, from the age, I'm just going to use a clear shellac versus like a yellow shellac. Yellow shellac will make it darker. It doesn't need to be any darker. This is a really nice dark finish as it is. So, anyways. Oh, oh. Hmm. Ooh, whoo, fumes. All right, all right. Now, a couple things. So now that it's stripped fairly clean and dry, there's two things you can do if you want to check the color. Uh, if you're gonna, as though if you're gonna put lacquer on it, there's two things you can use. The one like using a lot when I'm dealing with wood is 99% rubbing alcohol because it dries quick. Because the more you mess, maybe not on like a thick part like this, but it's prone to warpage, and you don't want to use it on thin stuff, especially like lower concentrations of alcohol. You definitely don't want to use like 20% or like vodka that you buy from the store. You want to use something closer to 99% so it can dry quickly. Acetone does the same thing. Um, and again, you don't need acetone for shellac. You only need it for nitrocellulose based varnish and other varnishes. And I use the chemical that's necessary for whatever we're doing. Now, what I'm about to show you is a way to test and see how it looks. You can use rubbing alcohol, which also dries quick. But if you want a good idea of how the color is going to look when you revarnish it when it's wet with like let's say a shellac or something like that, and that wet look, right? Is you take a little bit of lighter fluid and then rub it on, and it'll get pretty close to what it's going to look like in the wet areas. How it's going to look after. That's not. I forget. You kind of really gotta kind of put the lighter fluid on there. You can't just another thing about using lighter fluid or acetone or any other chemical like that. You just want to make sure you're in an area where you're not breathing a whole bunch of this stuff in because it can be overwhelming and it can damage your health. Sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. But that's why I got this on. So, anyways, I think I got the amount that I wanted removed, and now it's time to put the shellac on. It looks like on the backside here, I missed a few spots to get that original varnish off, and it appears darker, so it's not uniform. So I got to strip this off. But for now, I'm gonna reapply. I'm gonna apply the shellac, and for the shellac, oh, thank you, thank you. Hey, I appreciate it. Yeah, this is a Century camera number 7, made between 1912 and 1917. Within those 5 years, a very old camera. Um, Before Kodak started making them with the square labels in 1922 and later with the 7A, 8A, 9A, and so on. Anyways, but I am removing the Uh, I am removing the varnish and putting shellac on this one. And like I was telling everybody before, I removed most of the varnish, but not all of it. Um, there's going to be a little bit left over, somewhere in the range of maybe like 2 or 3%, because there's the varnish that got embedded, and I'm not removing all of it because I really like the color, and because the color is dark because of the vintage-ness of this, dark wood, which is awesome. The tannins coming out over 100 years and so on. I use clear varnish on this. Yellow varnish I use for sun faded pieces, or I use that original color back with like bases and acids, dilute bases and acids, not really strong ones. So um, sulfuric acid works very, very fast. So you have to really, really dilute it. If you're looking to darken a wood really, really fast, like age it really fast, you can use sulfuric acid, even the pure stuff on the surface. But 5 seconds later, you gotta dip it in in water and make sure it's dry. That's the other thing that sucks about it. And then the other thing is, what I usually do is usually apply the base first. I usually apply like a sodium hydroxide first, and then I apply the acid like hydrochloric acid or sulfuric acid if I need something stronger. And then at first it's deceiving too, because it appears really, really dark when you put the base on to the wood. You're like, what the heck? And it starts smelling weird and so on. The wood starts smelling like, you know, it doesn't have that good smell that you had because of the base. Then you rub that in, wipe it down with a towel, and then you apply something maybe a little bit weaker, like a hydrochloric acid or muriatic acid that's been watered down. You see a bubble out and lightens up really, really, really quickly. Now, after that, you take like either rubbing alcohol. I prefer rubbing alcohol uh, to uh, take that acid out and the base out. So like you don't get too much of the salt embedded into the wood to dry it out. Either way, the if you use tongue oil or something like that, I believe tongue oil gets embedded into the wood and doesn't dry it out too much. And it offers that protective layer. So you should be good. I mean, like I said, I'm doing stuff that's really thin. I'm not really doing a thick coating. I'm not soaking it with the napkin, which you can do. I mean, if you really want to remove it quickly, what you can do is lay it flat, or like have a flat surface like this, have a napkin like that, lay it flat, and then put the acetone on top, wait 5 minutes, and you can see that'll remove a lot of the original varnish. It's great stuff, but I try to do that sparingly. I do it on stuff where it's really, really caked on, and I'm trying to get it done quicker. But generally speaking, I like to do it slow so it stays dry and it doesn't have a chance to warp, especially on thinner pieces. Thicker pieces like this is probably okay. But I can turn this sideways and it's not gonna. I mean, these things are mahogany. This is sturdy, man. Like this is a very sturdy old camera made for studios on its original stand as well. And as a matter of fact, this black finish here that wins, I'm going to use sandpaper on the wood, because on this I didn't use any paper at all. I just used chemistry, pure chemistry. I just use acetone to remove the nitrocellulose based varnish, and then I'm just going to redo it with shellac, which I'm doing right now. Actually, I don't even need this anymore. And I could switch gloves to nitrile instead of this expensive butyl glove. These things are expensive, but they're not as much as like Viton gloves, which are really good. Viton's basically like a Teflon based rubber, which you'll need for certain chemistry if you're going to protect your hands and your body properly. Um, Butyl rubber kind of has a weird, rubbery, nasty smell to it. But whatever, it's good stuff. It's protecting my hands against the acetone. Very good protection. Ugh. Another option, if you can't afford it, Silver Shield is a very, very good protective glove for chemicals that otherwise can't be protected with vinyl, nitrile, PVC, polyethylene gloves, and so on. it's a more affordable option than, like I said, Viton gloves, which are basically Teflon based. And right now I'm going to apply the shellac. And the shellac is very, very, I use a very small amount at a time, rubbing it on with just a regular napkin, paper towel napkin. I mean, it's just, you don't need much. And it dries quicker that way too. And you can see the progress of each step of the way. Now, later on, if I want a glossy finish and I got the shellac into the nooks and crannies of the grain of the wood, at that time, yes, I will use like a foam brush or something like that to really apply the shellac until it stays glossy. And then uh, you do like a really fine sanding and then wax after that. Yeah, latex is good, but I'm allergic, so I can't use latex. Um, Also, so butyl and nitrile are my options. And I'm also allergic to iodine too, which, when I was making iodine for the daguerreotypes, I mean, yeah, I'm allergic to iodine. So used to be it'd take a whole week for me to, recover. Like I'm like, man, why am I staying up and why am I agitated and anxious or whatever? It's the iodine exposure. And with iodine, when you vaporize it into the air, it gets in your clothes, it gets on your skin. So it's not just good enough that I got a full face respirator. I have to use, I have to shower afterwards, immediately afterwards when I make iodine for the daguerreotypes. So, I mean, it sucks, but um, that's what I got to do. Well, the first time I did find out the hard way, I was getting a CT scan when I was in the Air Force, and I found out I was allergic to CT dye. And that's how I found out I'm allergic to iodine, because if you're allergic to CT dye, you're allergic to iodine. So that's kind of a pain in the ass way to find out that you're allergic to iodine and you're allergic to latex gloves. I found out, well, I used to not be allergic to latex. A couple of years ago, I was working on a construction project, right? And so I had two band-aids where I accidentally cut myself, and that was embarrassing enough. But yeah, one of the band-aids was latex based, and one of them was nitrile based or not latex based. And I found out the hard way that I'm allergic to latex, which is kind of crazy because it means I acquired the allergy later. Because I never was allergic to latex when I was very active. So it was a really difficult thing to accept. Fortunately, I'm married now, so I don't have to worry about that. But regardless, the shellac. So let me get these acetone cake napkins out of here so I don't keep on breathing in the damn vapors. I usually, any kind of rags and stuff like that, I usually clean up and throw outside for the vapors to be removed naturally. Even though this place is open to the air. See if this works, okay, and see if the connection comes back. So I'm just dabbing little bits of shellac on these little dry spots here. Yeah, a little bit, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Like I said, you just reapply it later. But I mean, you could see the sheen of the wood coming back. It's just really, really, really lovely once you remove the old lacquer. And let me show you that. And you'll see too, like this. You'll see too, like this shellac. If you look at it at a certain angle, it looks like little floating crystals in that alcohol. It's great. I mean, it's really pretty. And those that little bit of bug gut juice that just floats around makes a really nice finish on wood. Now, let me tap on this shellac. Let me that's another thing too. You get a little bit built up here, like shellac or whatever. Um, you could just put alcohol in and just cleans right out. Like it doesn't stay. It's not like a lacquer that hardens. The other thing too is in that little, and this is a little trick that I picked up. I think it was like a week or two ago. You know that little groove in there where all that paint and shellac collects. You can just drill like little holes in it, and it'll drain back down, dude. I got to do that to this one because shellac's just so wonderful, and I want to keep as much of it as possible. But all right, let's check the progress. Now, this is just the first coat of shellac that I applied, but I mean, you could see, wow. I mean, you could see the sheen of that wood and like the shine of it. I mean, wow. I just love shellac. I fell in love this first time I started using it. And it's very easy to apply. It's not like it's not a very difficult thing to use. And if you need to remove it, very easy, very easy. You don't have to worry about, you can make mistakes really easily with this stuff, and it's not the end of the world. And that's what I love about it. I think I've only learned about using woodworking stuff in the last, I don't know, 2 3 weeks, and I've been pretty addicted, to say the least. It's awesome, and I'm trying different methods. I mean, it's already, you can see it already to the touch. The shellac is not sticky. Now, if you were to sand it down, you'll feel that stick. You got to let it dry for like 24 hours before it gets, hard enough to work with. But, you know, that's why I just wait and then just reapply the shellac after it dries. Another tip too, if you're trying to remove shellac, I would use a heat gun. But trying to apply shellac with a heat gun, what happens is it bubbles up, and that's not good. You don't want to use a heat gun. Just a little bit of like a fan, or even just blowing on it to get it dry enough to where it sticks. That's all you need. You don't need anything like, it's just no frills, and it does really well. And like I said, this right now, because of the one layer that we have, it's just a small. Um, just a very basic, semi-gloss finish, and it's really nice. So now let me show you guys. This is part of the project where it's going to be very difficult, because on these type of cameras, sometimes they had like a black semi-gloss finish known as black Japanning, and that's what this is. And I'm going to uncover that brass tag with TCE, because it's about the only thing that works on something like that. I could use hot steam to kind of loosen it up. Basically, it's asphalt. So you go on the road, you want to loosen up asphalt, and you just use high hot steam, right? Even if it's hardened, it'll loosen it back up. Well, there's a couple chemicals that you can use to soften it up. One's not really readily available, and one this year just got pretty much banned by every industry except for very few, by the EPA. It's called TCE, and it's the original brake cleaner fluid spray. And that stuff is, yeah, the EPA is like, no, if you're in business, you can't use it. It's banned. I think the biggest problem is people don't dispose of it properly. It's just like with anything else. Like, I have mercury, and I have the stuff that I got to dispose of, but it's got to be disposed of properly. What's another? So yeah, I got my own bag of trash from TCE that I need to dispose of properly there too. Um, I use it very sparingly because it's a really nasty chemical, and with any of these chemicals, you really want to dispose of them properly. It's just, it's not just for the concern for the environment, but your own health as well. And that's the thing. Like you gotta look out for yourself when it comes to chemicals and knowledge of chemicals. It takes a long time to learn, but just read every SDS you can on the stuff that you're putting together, and everything's fine. It's a beautiful day out. It's a little bit cold, but it's getting to winter. And if you guys want to see my 20 by 24 camera, there she be. That is a 600 millimeter. That is a 600 millimeter f9 Rodenstock lens. It's one of two lenses that actually fit on this camera that I can use with this camera, because the other lenses that I can use are much larger, and that's difficult to work with. Um, yeah, because they're very heavy as well. But I'm refurbishing this as well. And as you can see, I got my little light set up here. I just put a board through it with this non-scratching stuff. But if you look at the surface, that's shellac. That's all original shellac. I just polished it. Now there's some spotty areas when you need to reapply it, but I mean, look how beautiful that sheen is. I polished that myself with the wax, and I mean, look at the color. The color is beautiful too. I mean, this is almost 100 years old. I think it's made in 1920, 1929 and 28, somewhere around there. This Hunter Penrose camera. And one of the features that's unique to a lot of the Hunter Penrose, like the old school cameras, is they used to have the city and the state or whatever, but they rarely had any where it said the specific road where they're located, and um, you know, it's kind of crazy. You see it on the ground glass here, and also the serial number of the ground glass and the actual serial number of the camera itself. I'd have to pull that out and show you the serial number, but that's all original. And this brass, I'm gonna have to redo the brass. On brass parts, I'm gonna have to make a video on restoring brass parts, because brasso is not my favorite, and protecting brass parts is important to me if you're gonna preserve it. Um, like you look on some of the old cameras that I'm about to show you. There's some old cameras where you see the brass finish. They either use lacquer or shellac on the brass itself, and it lasts a long time. And the yellow is like gold. It's really nice. But I'll show you an example of one of them, and that's this camera here. It's an old Sirocco camera lens. This, let's see, how do I, let's see. Oh, yep. As you can see, time mode, and then bulb mode, where if you hold down the trigger, it'll stay open. If you release, oh, wait. Bulb mode is where, yep. Uh-oh. The shutter's kind of finicky on this. So I might have to readjust it. It's 100-year-old. It's 100-year-old lens, and it's got some balsam separation. That's that. They used to put the lens elements together with a like a lacquer uh, balsam, and that's starting to separate. So it's starting to crack, like pine pitch cracks and stuff. So That can be replaced, and I'm probably gonna have to go to an expert to get that taken care of. But as far as the glass itself, oh my goodness, you're in for a treat. And I did make a video about this, but I mean, there's not a visible scratch on the surface of this lens. It's actually quite incredible. The lens, the yeah, wow. I mean, like, look how clean that lens is. It's just beautifully clean, and there's no visible scratches on it. It's quite incredible. But as I was saying, it's a Sirocco lens. Sirocco was Sears Roebuck Company. They contracted Century Camera and other camera companies to make cameras for them because Sears doesn't make anything. They're a department store, right? But they contracted other people to make it and put their name on it. And Bosch and Lomb is the shutter mechanism. They made the shutter mechanism for this camera. But they probably did. Bosch and Lomb is known for contact lenses nowadays, but they've always been involved with science of the eye. So, like lenses, camera lenses, shutters, um, sometimes like lenses and whole apparatuses for like microscopes, stuff like that. Anything to do with the eye, Bosch and Lomb is one of the oldest American companies, and that's who made the lens and shutter mechanism for this. So you're in for a treat. I'm glad I was able to show it off because I mean it's absolutely clean now, and the camera itself is not in bad condition either. The bellows is good. The wood looks like it was put together yesterday. I want to say it was made of mahogany as well. But the other thing is, like later on, when Century got bought out by um, Century Camera got bought out by Eastman Kodak. Eastman Kodak eventually started making it. They didn't hand it off to a division. They started making the cameras. And when they did, I think a lot of the cameras were made by cherry wood because Rochester, New York had a lot of cherry wood. So they didn't necessarily use mahogany. They might have used cherry, which, a lot of these older cameras are made of mahogany, especially if it's like 1920s and before, 1930s and before. About the 1940s, they started switching up to different stuff like walnut and stuff that's a little bit more easily accessible. And even today, a big chunk of mahogany is pretty pricey for a wood. I bought a inch and 7 inch and 3/4 thick piece of mahogany that was glued together. That's about 22 inches long to replace some of the stuff that I have on my old cameras. And it wasn't cheap, but it's also very large and very thick. And there's not too many pieces of mahogany nowadays that you can get that's this large. I should have just I should have just let the camera down. But this is my big piece of mahogany. Still had some dings and stuff when I got it shipped to me. Like a little bit of paint there, and I don't know. It still needs to be sanded down. And one of the it's like somebody dropped it on one of the corners, but it's kiln dried. And you see that, like the corner is a little bit dinged or whatever. But yeah, I can cut this piece off and then use it for one of my projects, and you could smell it. Um, it has a different smell than when it's like aged. It's just really nice smell. And that's the thing that if you're getting started with tung oil, you notice that chemical smell while it cures. Well, that goes away after you treat the wood. It's great. Um, so yeah, as it ages, you'll smell that old wood smell on the wood, and it's awesome. But anyways, I think I'm gonna end the stream right now, and I'll publish this video. I won't automatically have it in private, but since it's one of my first live feeds, um, yeah, I guess it doesn't allow me to do certain things, and it automatically sends some stuff to private instead of public because I guess Maybe some people showed stuff that they weren't supposed to whenever, I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why they do it. But yeah, I'll keep this posted, and hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. All right, everybody, take care and have a good time. Until next time. Now, how do I end transmission?